Welcome to the March edition of the Downtowners Free for All Fridays on Super Talk 1270. I'm Dawn Kopp. I'm the Executive Director of the Downtowners, and I'm with Kate Herzog today.
And Jim Walsh.
And Jim. Jim's always running our boards, really doing a great job with that. So today, happy spring.
First day of spring.
And weather, yep, we made it through winter. Oh, again, thank goodness.
I don't even know what the sun feels like on my skin anymore. I need to get outside, get some vitamin D.
I heard something chirping when I went outside, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I think it was something called a bird.
Something like that.
Oh, we have a great show coming up. We have some guests. We'll be talking to Jonathan Campbell today. He's with the State Historical Society, and he manages a couple of sites near the downtown, the former governor's mansion, and also he manages Camp Hancock. And we're going to be talking about some really fun events coming up at the former governor's mansion in the next segment. And we'll also be talking with Kendra Howard in our third segment. Kendra and her husband Kenny own Fireflower Pizza and Coffee Bar downtown. And they are starting something new on Mondays, so we'll be discussing that in our third segment.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting, I think. Both of these guests have something new that we're not really, you don't see too often downtown, so I think there'd be some cool events and things going on.
I do too. And Kenny and Kendra, they are just super chefs, so they really do everything food-wise, coffee-wise, really great. And Jonathan knows everything about history and archaeology and that type of thing. So stay tuned for some really fun upcoming things.
Yeah. If you want to call in and join the discussion, our call-in number is, I always want to say 667. Done. So you have to say the call-in number. There's something wrong with me.
It's 663-1270. 663-1270, just like the call numbers on the radio station.
You can also call in and tell us what you're loving about the first day of spring, or,
birds,
where to
squirrels.
meet you for a beer outside if you're outside.
On your patio somewhere.
Yeah.
Invite us, please.
We have a lot of upcoming events in downtown Bismarck. We do want to welcome everybody who's in town for the state Class B boys basketball tournament. Just a huge event. Glad to see it back in Bismarck at the Bismarck Event Center. It's packed down there, and that's what we really like to see. So I hope your team's doing well. You stay in town and maybe take in a couple of things we're going to talk about in the next two segments coming up in downtown Bismarck. Definitely family-friendly events.
And you can wander up and go into downtown. It's super close to the Civic Center. The Event Center. I'm still learning. But, take in some great things we have downtown.
Yeah, so welcome to the State Class B Boys Basketball Tournament. A few things that we have coming up. Bismarck Art and Galleries Association is just getting to the end of their March exhibit. North Dakota's Oil Boom is called Fractured, the exhibit. So check that out. Very topical, timely exhibit that's going on at Bismarck Art and Galleries Association. Very close to the Civic Center on 5th and Front. So check out Bega's March exhibit. It goes through March 28th.
And also this weekend, Dakota Stage has their next performance of I Hate Hamlet. It runs March 19th through the 29th, so it'll be going on all weekend this weekend. Check it out. Dakota Stage is located right on Main Avenue, 420 or 418.
422.
No, that's
412. 412.
That's Peacock Alley. You know that address too well.
Mid-block between 4th and 5th Street. You can't miss Dakota Stage. There's a big marquee out across from the Depot Fiesta Villa restaurant.
And you can buy tickets at their website or at the box office.
Yeah, DakotaStageLTD.com. They just had opening night on Thursday. Yeah. Definitely check out, if you haven't been to Dakota Stage main stage show, check it out. They're doing some really cool things with their main stage shows. Don and I and a few other downtowners got to go to their January show, I think, their drama. Really good. There were some really talented actors and people who are working in theater tech.
And I Hate Hamlet, their current performance is a very family-friendly comedy. So check it out. Take your kids and all your other family to this fun show.
Yeah, we hope your team wins at State Boys, but if it doesn't and you're still here and you have your hotel reservations, a lot of things to do in downtown Bismarck. Also, Art Gallery on Main, which is our other kind of art co-op, along with Bismarck Downtown Artists Co-op, they have their gallery exhibit, Exploring Change and Continuity in Nature and Life, and that's running March 20th, so yesterday, through April 30th. They've just got their new exhibit out. Check that out. That's also on Main Avenue between the 400 and 500 block. So it's inside the Barrister building. Check out, sorry, today's the 20th. Starts today. Check that out. Art Gallery on Main, their new exhibit.
Yeah, and coming up after boys Class B basketball has concluded on March 24th at the Bismarck Event Center, Hart and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts will be taking over the stage. So, again, go grab up some tickets, go back to the 80s, have some fun, get some hairspray, that type of thing, and check out Hart and Joan Jett.
I'm not as familiar with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, but I love me some Hart. Anna Nancy Wilson, just rocking it out. I like their 80s stuff. I mean, their 70s stuff's good too, but I'm into
grew up with the 80s
big
stuff.
hair stuff.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Oh, my Hart cassettes have been well loved.
Yeah, right. March 24th at the Bismarck Event Center. You can get tickets on their website there, so check that out through Ticketmaster. Also, one of my favorite events is coming up in downtown Bismarck, Dakota Stage. We do our flashback films talking about 80s stuff. We show a lot of cool 80s movies. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Classic. Come check it out.
I watched this movie every day throughout my entire childhood, I think. So I've been waiting for this all year, ever since they announced their flashback film series. Oh, Ferris Bueller. April 3rd.
And it's just, it's not very expensive. You can bring the family out. Tickets are $7 online, $8 at the door. There's concessions. Just something fun to do at Dakota Stage.
Yeah, and it's fun to see your favorite old-time movies like that on the big screen again. And it's a great venue, again, to take your family, go on a date night, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Also coming up in downtown Bismarck, April 10th, the Dakota Digital Film Festival at the Bell Mayhews. I think this is like their third or fourth year.
I think it's 5 now.
Is it really? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And they've just done a fabulous job of screening different films. Again, you're not sitting through a 90-minute film. They're like, 15 minutes or something like that. And you get a whole bunch in a row. Comedies, dramas. There's some hilarious things that they've shown and been submitted all year. So lots of great events coming up in downtown Bismarck. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on Super Talk, 1270 AM.
Right now, 43.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to Free for All Fridays with the Downtowners on Super Talk 1270. Thanks for
Bismarck Downtowners.
the Bismarck Downtowners. Yes, you're right, Kate. Oh, thanks for joining us again. We are going to be talking to our first guest, Jonathan Campbell with the State's Historical Society. He happens to also be the manager of the former governor's mansion on 4th Street and Avenue B. It's right there on the corner, the big greenhouse. And he also manages the Camp Hancock, which is on the west side of Main Avenue in Bismarck. Hey, Jonathan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
We're great. Just a little shout out to everybody listening. If you have any questions for Jonathan or the Bismarck Downtowners, give us a call at 663-1270. So, Jonathan, thanks for joining us today. First off, I think we just want you to give us a little rundown on what happens at the former governor's mansion, what people can expect if they visit, that type of thing.
Well, the former governor's mansion is one of, I think we have approximately 60 state historic sites across the state. They're not all, staffed like the mansion is, but the mansion, our primary goal is to preserve, the 1884 structure that was built by businessman Asa Fisher here in town, but what served as the governor's residence for from 1893 to 1960, with 20 governors living there. So that is our primary responsibility, is to preserve it. But just having a building sit there doesn't do the citizens of the state much good. So. Mm-hmm. We have it open not only for tourists, but we will rent it out we've had birthday parties, weddings, but it's also available for nonprofits that are looking for a space to hold a reception or some sort of fundraiser, and we often don't even charge for that.
It's a great facility.
It is. It's wonderful and beautiful, and you guys have some events coming up right in the near future here.
Yeah, this weekend we have our It's our 8th annual Arthur A. Link Fiddle Festival. It originally started out as the Arthur A. Link Fiddle Contest, and that was a good idea. We found it became unmanageable because the students that were participating were the best in the state, and it wasn't giving an opportunity for younger students to move up. Okay. So we decided to move on to a festival type, and we started working with the Bismarck Public Schools, I believe, 2 years ago, and it's really hard to become part of the elementary age kids, the curriculum for string music. So last year we had John Lauderdale, formerly known as Fiddling Johnny here in town, but he's a violin expert, and he came in last year for our first time, and he worked with the schools. He performed at the mansion with the students, and he also did a concert with the Frog Holler Band. So we brought him back again this year, and this afternoon he's actually doing a master's class with some of the better elementary students in town, who then are going to perform with him tomorrow night at the Heritage Center.
Very cool.
But this evening he'll be actually giving a public talk at the mansion starting at 7 o'clock, and it's roughly titled The History of Fiddling. Mm-hmm. It's going to vary a little off of that, but he will, talk just about fiddling and violin playing in general. It's not a concert. It's actually an educational talk.
Okay.
But tomorrow, Saturday, is our actual fiddle festival at the mansion. It runs from about noon to about 2:33, and I believe we have 15 classes from the elementary school that will be coming through. And they come in, most of them I think will be playing as a group, but they play one or two songs, and it's really just to give them an opportunity to perform in public, let them know what that is like, because they don't get much opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
For those listening out there, Jonathan, can you tell us a little bit why the Fiddling Festival was named after Arthur A. Link?
Governor Arthur A. Link.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Governor Link, who is even back in the late 50s as a state representative, he's been a longtime supporter of the former governor's mansion as a historic site, but he was also a violin player. He loved to play the violin, and we recently found out he actually preferred to be called a violinist and not a fiddler.
Okay.
But just because of the way he played, everybody just assumed he was a fiddler. But so that's why it's the fiddle contest. But he was okay with that. But and he would every year at our annual ice cream social in the summer he would play. And I think he was playing up until he was about 90. So
that's a great way to remember Governor Link too.
He really to honor him.
He's I think a lot of people consider him very much a people's governor, and he's just really instrumental in kind of owning what it's like to be a North Dakotan, I think, in some
steward
ways.
for this state.
And his wife, Grace, is still on our friends group here, the board, and she will be here this weekend as well.
Great.
So, Jonathan, beyond the Fiddling Festival, or Fiddle Festival, what are some other upcoming events at the mansion?
Well, normally in the winter, we actually try to do at least one or two events each month. This winter has been a little unusual as our number of events is down because I'm actually working on trying to get some repairs done around the house. And one of the big ones we're just finishing up is the attic. It was a playroom from the 1890s up to the 50s, but we're restoring it to look like it did in the 1930s.
Oh, very cool.
And we'll be doing some sort of grand opening. I'm hoping for in June on that.
Okay.
Great. So we're talking with Jonathan Campbell. He works for the State Historical Society. He's also managing the former governor's mansion on 4th and B in downtown Bismarck. A lot of cool events going on there. Jonathan, generally I think about May 15th is when you really get into your tourist season and extended hours. Can you tell people a little bit of information about your visiting days and hours and what people can expect coming up this summer?
Yeah, we're open. In the winter, we are open the second combined Friday and Saturday of each month, from 1 to 5. So we do have some set winter hours, and we're open by appointment, too. Mm-hmm. But in the summer, we're open 7 days a week from May 15th to September 15th. We're open Monday through Friday from 10 to 5, and on weekends from noon to 4. So we're open quite a bit. But if there's a group that wants to come in, it's just a matter of giving me a call or dropping me an email.
Sure.
And for the most part, groups will give guided tours too, but during our regular hours, it's self-guided. We have staff on hand to answer questions. And you can come in for 10 minutes, or you can come in for the whole afternoon if you want to.
You've done events in the past, like that Crafters Bee and knitters and stuff like that. How's that working out at the former governor's mansion?
Oh, it works well. We've I'm not even sure how many years we've been doing that, but we really try to utilize the mansion as a community center, a space that where local people could come in and do their crafting or music, and it's always available. If there's a group that wants to do a public performance, as long as it's free and open to the public, we don't charge for them to use the space.
It's a really great space for something like that because of how the rooms are set up and that type of thing. They're not overly large, and so it's really a good way for people to connect with each other while doing that as well.
Yes.
Jonathan, Don had mentioned that you also run Camp Hancock Historical Site. Most people would maybe recognize that there's a huge train engine under kind of a roofed area on the west part of Main Avenue in downtown Bismarck. Do you have anything coming up at that site, or when is that open for the public to kind of wander through?
This year, we've changed the hours at some of our smaller sites, and Camp Hancock is one of them. It's actually going to be open June 1st through the end of August, where previous it was the same hours, the middle of May through September. But Camp Hancock is just open Friday through Sunday, 1 to 5 in the summers.
This is Camp Hancock is really kind of the beginning of where Bismarck, or it was called Edmonton before it was called Bismarck. It's really kind of the cornerstone of Bismarck. Where
it is. That's where the railroad came in, got to Edmonton in 1872, and Camp Hancock was the infantry protecting the railroad and the supplies and the workers. They set up their camp there, and it was supposed to be a temporary establishment. That's why it was a camp instead of a fort. But the railroad, due to internal squabbling, went bankrupt with their finances, so they couldn't get the bridge across the river. So Camp Hancock actually became the supply depot. The railroad would come into there, and then the supplies would go out west to the forts, down to Fort Lincoln, up even into Canada. They go out by riverboat, or they cross the river by barge, and then they go out by wagon train.
It's a really fascinating site, and it's actually bigger, really, when you start to stand into the site at Camp Hancock in downtown Bismarck. I don't think a lot of people think of downtown Bismarck as a place where you can get to these historical sites. You think of it maybe more as an urban center, but really having Camp Hancock and the former governor's mansion programmed is an awesome thing to check out in downtown Bismarck. We've got a minute left, but Jonathan, let everybody know where they can find out all the information, upcoming events, and the tourist hours and things like that at the mansion.
Yeah, for the former governor's mansion, if you go on Facebook and search former governor's mansion, we put everything on our Facebook page whenever we have events, and our hours are on there, all the contact. Same thing with Camp Hancock. Not as much goes on at Camp Hancock, but if we do have something, we definitely post it. Or you can go to our website, which is under historic sites on the State Historical Society website, which is www.history.nd.gov.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Jonathan Campbell with the State Historical Society. A lot going on at the former governor's mansion, including the 8th annual Arthur A. Link Fiddle Festival. Things going on tonight and tomorrow. If you're in town for basketball, again, a great family event to check out. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on Super Talk, 1270 AM.
Right now, 43.
Your news leader, weeknights at 6 and 10. Super Talk 1270.
And thanks for sticking with us, the Bismarck Downtowners, on Free for All Fridays on 1270 Super Talk. I want to give a great big thank you to Jonathan Campbell, who was our first guest today. And he was talking about the former governor's mansion in downtown Bismarck. Check it out. There are lots of events coming up, including the Fiddle Festival this weekend. So right now we're going to bring in Kenny Howard. He and his wife own Fireflower Pizza and Coffee Bar right in the middle of downtown Bismarck. Hey, Kenny.
Hi there.
Kenny, how has it been with State B basketball? Are you seeing people wander up from the Bismarck Civic Center for some pizza?
Yeah, it's been good. Getting in, more people and some people that we haven't had in before, which is always fun thing to serve people who haven't been in for the first time. So that's nice.
Yeah. For people that don't know, Fireflower Pizza and Coffee Bar has been open downtown Bismarck for a couple years in different sections. For those that haven't been there, Kenny, tell people really the concept of the restaurant of Fireflower Pizza.
Sure. We're a Neapolitan pizzeria, and then we've added a coffee bar, so basically join with that at a later stage. But we cook in a wood-fired oven. The pizzas are about 900 degrees. They take about 90 seconds. It's a very light pizza. It's not as heavy or greasy as a typical pizza can be. We offer some salads, and then we do our own gelato. And then we have a coffee bar, full-service coffee bar that we use dogwood coffee out of Minneapolis. It's a quality-focused roaster. Makes some really tasty drinks.
And Kenny, you guys are really using some high-quality ingredients in terms of your cheese, and you're making your own dough and meats. Tell people a little bit about that.
Yeah. We basically source as good ingredients as we can get into North Dakota here. We stretch our own mozzarella, fresh mozzarella from curd that we get in, and then we also use like an organic tomato that's developed specifically for like wood-fired pizza cooking.
That's cool.
And then we bring in really great meats, other cheeses, and really just try to be always quality conscious and not bring in anything that isn't going to add to the experience.
Sure. We're talking with Kenny at Fireflower Pizza. Before Don asks you a couple questions about your new events coming up on Monday nights, in addition to adding the coffee bar and having a full-service coffee bar, you're also starting to pull some local taps.
Yeah, I mean, we do have some tap beer available as well now, and we're using Laughing Sun, our microbrewery that's right next door to us. So we've always had a great relationship with them, as we serve our pizza over there as well. But we worked in collaboration with them on just recently with they used some of our espresso from our coffee bar to make a Java Black Ale, and it turned out really great. So we have that on tap right now, and they also do it at the brewery. But so give it a try.
Kenny, like Kate had just mentioned a couple minutes ago, you guys are starting a new event on Monday nights called, I believe, Monday Night Suppers.
Yep.
So give us a little bit of information on the thought process behind it and branching out into it and what people can expect.
Okay. Yeah, we're excited to do this. The idea has kind of been with us. Right when we opened the restaurant up, we had always intended to provide like a nightly featured entree. But it's kind of, we were somewhat limited in our kitchen space and having a full kitchen as far as like range tops and larger ovens, other than some, because we primarily do most of our cooking in our wood-fired oven for our meals. So we were trying to figure out how to basically integrate like an entree. Then we basically came up with, well, maybe instead of having a nightly one that we'll have it once a week, we'll focus on something that. So basically, that's what we're doing. We started last week. We had a good turnout, but I expect it'll pick up as people find out about it. The first one was we did some wood smoked brisket. So we basically, this allows us to also use residual heat from our wood-fired oven, which retains heat after we're done on Saturday night. And so then we basically smoked and cooked the brisket over like an 18-hour period in the oven, which produces a really nice tender meat. And then just basically presented different sides along with that to accompany it, and some Coogan to finish the meal off. So what you can expect on a Monday night, you'll come in and it's a set menu, and everybody orders the same thing, and we'll serve it to you. As far as some meals might be like grouped together, where it'll be served family style, depending on whether you get a bowl full of curry or that might be. But it's more like a family dinner kind of feel.
Just the mention of curry really got me excited here. So,
yeah.
Which brings us to Monday, this coming Monday, and you are serving an Indian menu on Monday.
Yeah, we are. Our Monday menu for next week is korma, which is like a vegetable cashew and usually dried fruit curry. We use figs for our dried fruit, and then we're doing as a side some tandoori chicken, which we're going to cook in our wood-fired oven, and then naan that we're making here from scratch and cooking that in the oven, and some rice along with some gelato to finish it off with Indian-inspired ingredients, I guess, like cardamom, almond, and pistachio.
I love cardamom.
Yeah, it's really tasty. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to that, and that's another reason for this Monday night that we're kind of interested in bringing things you might not necessarily be able to get in the community, or it's our own spin on kind of things that maybe are in the community, but we're putting our own sides together that we like with it.
Kenny, we've had you on the show before, and you've talked about your oven and how you had it specially made for you actually in Italy and brought it over here and installed it. When you guys did that, did you ever have in mind the idea of doing different smoked meats now that you're doing the dinners, and you've mentioned twice now that you've prepared like the brisket and coming up the tandoori chicken? Mm-hmm. Was that one of the thought process?
Ideally, if we had the space for it, we'd probably have a second oven come in where we could use exclusively for entrees.
Okay.
And that's something we might, develop into if we add another location or something of that sort. So it's something that we've always known we could maybe do. I mean, wood-fired ovens have been around for, hundreds of years where people have been preparing, different foods in them other than pizza. So it was always something that we knew we had the option to do. It was just a question of how we were going to do it in our existing space.
Sure.
And yet cook pizzas. So.
Mm-hmm. We're talking with Kenny Howard. He's the co-owner of Fireflower Pizza in downtown Bismarck. They're doing their Monday night suppers. Probably a good idea to get a reservation. It's not required, but get one, and it's just kind of a set menu, full seating, $20, and then you can do some add-ons. What a great deal. A chance to try some different foods and things in the community. Monday nights, check that out. Kenny, you have a couple other things. You guys have a mobile food truck, and that's really how your business started. Are you planning on doing any events this summer or available for renting out that mobile version of the Fireflower food truck?
Yeah. I mean, we'll be doing most of all the larger and smaller festivals in Bismarck and Mandan. Anywhere from like the downtown street fair to the Capital A Fair, Art in the Park. Basically, if there's a festival, we'll most likely be there in Bismarck and Mandan. And then we have some weddings on the books as far as catering, but we're always an option that people could consider as far as if you're interested in catering. We have a mobile oven, and we can come to site, and it's a really fun time to make pizzas on site and have a great little party. We just have the one oven, so that's usually our hang up. People like to have the same weekends, it seems like, but we do have some availability yet this summer.
I heard last summer that you guys did something different for one of the weddings you catered, where you did like a lasagna entree too. So you spread out or branched out a little bit from there. Yeah, we did half pizza, half lasagnas, and that one good. It was well received. When the parties get, I guess, with our wood-fired oven, we can handle probably up to about 125 people. But if it gets a little larger, the catering event, we have to supplement it with some other food, and that's where the kind of lasagna came in. It was a wedding of a couple hundred people, sure. Which then. These Monday night suppers are a great thing for us to, these are things that we might be able to cater at as well, as we kind of work on them and tweak the recipes and get them right. These are options that people would have for catering as well from us.
And Kenny, since it's the first day of spring, you guys also have sidewalk seating. Do you know about when? I suppose you'll just be watching the sky, but when you'd like to put out your sidewalk seating?
Yeah, I mean, it sure seemed right last week, but ours is a little more labor intensive to get it all set up, and so we've kind of held off a little bit. We're planning to be hopefully up in April here sometime. I think we'll start seriously considering getting it out there. So yeah, that's always fun to be out there seated and eating on the sidewalk in downtown. That's a great experience.
I'm pretty sure it's scientifically proven that food tastes better outside. I don't know why. It's like the extra oxygen or something that you get.
On the dust.
Kenny, just for everybody who's out there, what's the best way to get information on Monday night suppers that you're doing, or just general information about Fireflower Pizza or your coffee bar, or new things that you're offering?
Yeah. Well, we're currently working on a new website that'll have a little more information. It'll be a little more interactive, so you can always be up to date on what's happening with us. But I am posting the menus for Monday nights every week on the homepage, fireflowerpizza.com, if you're interested in finding out. You can always call the restaurant for information, and then if you're a Facebook user, we always put a lot of information on there as far as what's new coffees or what's the new gelato of the week. That's a good place to follow what's happening with us.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Kenny Howard with Fireflower Pizza and Coffee Bar. They're starting their new Monday night suppers March 23rd. Look for an Indian menu. Great things are going to be happening at Fireflower through these Monday night suppers. But you can always find their great pizza and coffee at Fireflower as well. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back on Super Talk 1270 AM.
Right now, 54.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
And we're back again for our final segment on Free for All Fridays with the Downtowners in Bismarck, or of Bismarck, I should say, on Super Talk 1270. A great big thank you to both our guests today, Jonathan Campbell and Kenny Howard. Oh, what a great show it's been. And there are so many things coming up or happening right now in downtown Bismarck. Check everything out.
Yeah, be sure to get involved with the Arthur A. Lang Fiddle Festival this weekend. Just what a cool event. And again, we're seeing so many new things pop up in Bismarck in terms of events. They're just a little different. And hopefully people support them when they can continue to do those. Like Jonathan mentioned, the former governor's mansion's on 4th and B, and they have the Art Lang Fiddle Festival with some great fiddlers. So if that's your thing, check it out. And then if you're in town again for State Beat Boys basketball, you're looking for a family event to do, they've got events for the Fiddle Festival at the Heritage Center as well as the former governor's mansion. And then this is just I think downtown Bismarck's really kind of becoming a foodie place. And so if you like that word or not, it's like hipster. Some people, like it, some people don't. But, to see these cuisines really expanding out and our local restaurants taking some risks and doing some different menus is just great. So check out Fireflower Pizza doing their Monday night suppers. It's not going to be pizza, but they'll make it in their pizza wood-fired oven that was made specially for them. Like he mentioned last week, they did barbecue. This Monday will be an Indian menu with curry and things of that nature.
Tandoori chicken smoked in their oven.
I'm so glad that we're talking about downtown Bismarck and things like fiddle festivals and tandoori chicken. That makes me super happy. A few kind of news things that we've got going on downtown Bismarck and a few things that you may have heard about and hopefully we can expand on. One is, as spring approaches, and today's the first day of spring, we're going to be putting out our big, huge flower planters again in West downtown Bismarck. So if you're interested in adopting one of those planters, just get a hold of us, downtownbismarck.com. But those will probably go out end of May, I think.
Right. So once we're not concerned with frost or freezing anymore, which does take quite a while in wonderful Bismarck, North Dakota, toward the end of the month of May, so right before June hits, and we'll get those all planted and growing. So they looked fantastic last year.
Yeah, part of making a downtown walkable is having these points of interest and these things to look at and benches and garbage cans. And it's not the super sexiest thing to talk about, but it really is an obvious thing that we need to have to make our downtown more walkable. So our Adopt a Planter program is just starting out in full swing. The planters will run on Broadway from 3rd Street to Washington. And that's really an area that doesn't have a lot of those pedestrian street side amenities. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to brighten up that area. We've got a lot of good walkable businesses down there like Broadway Grill, CC's, the studios at CC's that do a lot of different fitness classes.
Broadway spa, or salon and spa is in there too.
Hay Ocean and boutiques along that way. So there's more to see in downtown Bismarck beyond 3rd Street if you go west. And hopefully this will kind of brighten up that walk for you. Also coming up, we think this is really going to be a big part of downtown Bismarck. As the community continues to grow, from kind of a big town to a small city, talking about multimodal things and getting people into downtown Bismarck other than everyone bringing their own car downtown is going to be a big part of growing downtown Bismarck. And so Bisband Transit has invested in a mobile app, which is awesome. If you want to take the bus, some of the routes come right through downtown Bismarck. Now you can see things in real time and
the
all
app
that.
has a really great, clever name called Route Shout.
Yeah, they have Route Shout and Route Match, I think, are the two apps. But you can get all that information at bismantransit.com. Riding the bus, taking a subway, that's kind of small city stuff now.
Are we getting a subway?
We don't have a subway yet.
drat.
But trolleys, maybe. Public transportation really is going to be more important as the downtown continues to grow. We won't be able to accommodate one car for every person, and so getting people to live downtown and find their way downtown on a bike
Or by foot.
by foot, yes, walking. You will not die if you walk a few blocks. I promise.
And there's so much to see now, just taken from what we've been talking about earlier today in the show. Camp Hancock, the former governor's mansion, stop by Fireflower for some fantastic food, different types of drinks. So much to do in downtown now.
Jim's lived in big cities. Jim, do you ever take the bus or subway? You like taking public transportation? You can people watch? Yeah. It's great.
You haven't lived until you've taken a taxi downtown Midtown Manhattan.
It's really amazing how they can just stay on the road without hitting people.
It really is kind of a small city thing, and we need to start thinking a little bit like that. If we're going to have tandoori chicken, we need to have buses and other things like that accommodate that kind of metro lifestyle. So go to Bisman Transit, get their app. It gives you scheduled times of arrival, real-time bus locations, so you know when the bus is going to be coming to you, and just try it out once. It's probably, if you're always searching for a parking spot and not using the ramps, this might be more convenient for you. bismantransit.com. Check out their new app. This is huge news out of downtown Bismarck.
So exciting. Bismarck Futures and a development group called Cardin Development Group are developing a new look for south of Front Avenue on 5th Street in downtown. So basically kind of where the expanded part of the Bismarck Event Center has been created, all the way down to almost the malls, Kirkwood Mall, I should say. And they are looking at bringing in housing, more commercial space, some kind of green space areas. So it's a really massive and important project.
They have a website now if you want to check out all the components of the development. The development is called 5 South, and it's all spelled out. 5southbismarck.com. You can check everything out. Like Don said, we had a few meetings last week. They did some public announcements about what 5 South is going to look like, the possibilities for the reconfiguration of 5th Street. They're going to try and add a whole bunch of on-street parking, which there really isn't a lot of near the event center right now. Widening the sidewalks for more pedestrian uses like sidewalk seating. Some of the proposed buildings for the development 5 South include a potential full-service hotel, apartments. They're talking 300 to 400 units, which is quite a bit, with retail on the ground floor. They are discussing a parking ramp that would kind of sit behind that hotel and residential component. They're still working with the city to work out some of the public-private pieces of the development, but this is a big, big investment in downtown Bismarck. And really a part of the downtown master plan that is meant to connect the mall and the event center in the downtown and the Capitol to some extent as one larger district. So 5southbismarck.com. This is, a hundreds of $million development that's going on in downtown Bismarck. 5southbismarck.com. Check it out. I'm super excited about the housing component to this development.
I don't know how often, weekly, daily, that we get calls on where are apartments available downtown, how can I get into an apartment downtown. Those questions come up all the time. So this development will really help us in getting more people walking and living that 24/7 lifestyle downtown.
Yeah, so check it out, 5southbismarck.com, a huge development. You've probably been hearing a whole bunch of, things on the news and stuff. Check out their website and really get some more information. And last but not least, we have a cool event coming up in downtown Bismarck, OTA. Don, tell people about OTA.
OTA, you should say.
OTA, yep.
It's basically, OTA was started about 6 years ago by a gentleman named Hugh Weber, who lives in Sioux Falls currently, is from a smaller town in South Dakota, but he wanted a way to bring the creative class within the states of Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota together and drive the creative class and the ideas that come from it and expand on that. So that's kind of what OTA is in a nutshell. And on April 24th of this year, they will be hosting an event in Bismarck. It's kind of what they've said is kind of like TEDx for the OTA region.
Mm-hmm. And I think when you think about it, South Dakota and most parts of Minnesota and North Dakota are really kind of one culture. I mean, you have a little bit of Germans and Norwegians, but generally we are part of the kind of upper Midwest culture. And so they're going to be talking about, the talented and creative people that live here. And we don't want to out-migrate our talent. We've been sending great workers to other parts of the country. And this, I think, is an effort to retain creative people, retain young professionals to stay in the OTA region, and expand on ideas and things that they want in their community to keep them here. So this is going to be really cool. It's really a TEDx, like Don said, but for the OTA region. Again, North Dakota. I don't think they consider the Twin Cities part of the OTA region. It's a little different. But, the rest of Minnesota, probably, I would say.
They'll have about 4 speakers and then some breakout sessions and different activities throughout a day and a half kind of long event. So it'll be April 23rd and 24th. You can go to their website, weareota.com, weareota.com, to buy tickets in advance. This will be a really great event to have in Bismarck.
And I think they're going to talk a little bit about it at 1 Million Cups, which happens in downtown Bismarck every Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock at Dakota Stage. It's an entrepreneurial meetup. You get to meet and network with other people, and they're kind of involved with the OTA group as well. So lots going on in downtown Bismarck. Happy that it's spring. Get out there, start walking to some of these events, enjoy State B basketball. If you're looking for any more information on downtown Bismarck, you can visit our website, downtownbismarck.com, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/downtownbismarck, or else on Twitter, downtownbiznd. We're kind of everywhere. So for Don and Jim Walsh, thanks so much for listening to us on Free for All Fridays, the Bismarck Downtowners on Super Talk 1270 AM. See you next month.